Hello, hello, hello. I am Niall Carter Gray. And we are just talking here. We are shooting the breeze. These are our raw thoughts about the CARES Act. So if you haven't heard, I believe the act was actually passed on March 27th. And I am bringing some badass Black women accountants and taxpayers here to come talk to us today about their raw thoughts on some of the things that no one else is talking about that are affecting you, our wonderful, wonderful taxpayers and small business owners here in the US because of the dang on Rona, right? Sister Rona coming through with the virus. So I'd like to introduce you. I'm going to go from left to right and round in the circle. We have Melanie Willis from Michigan. Say hi, Melanie. Tell us a little bit about
Hi.
yourself. You are.
I thought my name would be good. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm an enrolled agent, an advanced QuickBooks Pro advisor, and I work for a small firm. The name is Heintzelman Accounting Services in Grand Rapids.
Awesome. Then we have my good friend, Lysandra Everett, Everett's Tax Service.
Hello. Yes, I'm Lysandra Everett, the owner of Everett Tax Solutions. I'm the home biz tax lady, y'all. I help my home business owners get out the kitchen and into some real business. Now, let me quit playing. No, I really do focus on helping my home business owners win the tax game.
I like that too.
I like that.
Yeah.
I do. Get out the kitchen and into a real biz. I love it.
Okay, I'm writing that down, y'all.
Right, because you're going to forget in 10 minutes.
Right. Then we have Sherelle T. Martin from Nitram.
Hello, everyone. Sherelle Martin, Nitram Financial Solutions. We are based right outside of Washington, D.C. in Southern Maryland, and we do outsourced accounting and bookkeeping support services for businesses in the healthcare industry.
Love it. Erica Williams down in Florida. Trinity Financial.
Hi, I'm Erica Williams, and I am the owner of Trinity Global Financial Services. I am an enrolled agent providing bookkeeping, tax preparation, and represent people before the IRS.
You hear, she gave us her professor voice. Professor Williams. I want y'all to know she's also a professor at FAMU, right?
Yes.
Yes. FAMU in the house. And then we have Nicole Davis.
Hey, I'm Nicole Davis. I'm a CPA based in Congress, Georgia. I almost forgot where I was. We primarily work with independent pharmacies and service-based businesses.
Awesome, awesome. So I met these wonderful women online. Basically, we all started our friendships online. We have met in person. Most of us have anyway.
Okay, fine. Save one of us.
Yes. But we have such a strong group here that, you know, I only thought it right that I bring us all together, or Nicole actually brought us all together to talk about these things because, you know, sometimes you need your circle of trusted advisors to help give you insight into things that you may have missed. So as we start talking about the CARES Act, we know everybody is and their mama are talking about the Paycheck Protection Loan. And let me tell you, I don't want to talk about that dang on thing right now. It is stressing everybody out, especially because we know there is so much to applying for these this loan, but there's still some guidance missing, especially for our solopreneurs and those without employees. So we are choosing today to focus on some of the other aspects of the CARES Act that are impacting you. And then we'll circle back to the paycheck protection loans when we have a bit more information. Right, ladies?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's painful right now. Ooh, child.
So we're going to start and talk about, you know, kind of one item we picked out from that new law that was kind of like an aha. So like for me, you know, I'm all excited about there's a $300 above the line charitable contribution credit now. Who is that typing, Sherelle?
I'm sorry. That's me. You can hear that? Oh, God, that's hard. I was typing it to y'all.
It's a $300 charitable contribution above the line, which means you do not have to itemize deductions in order to take the credit. And I'm kind of excited about it because I know with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act last year that got passed, or that started last year, a lot of nonprofits have been seeing a decline in charitable contributions because there's no taxable benefit for us taxpayers. So all my small time people who want to give a little to the churches and all the 501c3 organizations right now, do so. You get $300 above the line, you can write off. So feel free.
Is that permanent or is that just temporary?
It's permanent.
Permanent.
Awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Until they change it.
So yeah, until
Don't say that.
they change
Let's
it.
be positive.
Yeah. But
Let's be positive.
right. But the main thing to note about that is that we're talking about cash. This is not property.
Mhm.
So just note that this is, a cash. It's still like, I even still heard people complaining. I'm like, listen, this is a $300 deduction that you did not have.
Mhm.
Right.
Me, when I tell you $300 can make the difference between one tax bracket and another. So
Yes. Yes.
let us level on this 300 right now. Let's level on that 300.
Yes. See, I love how my sister came and backed me up. She's like, yes, that's true, but don't forget. See, this is why we here together. Nicole, you had an interesting one too. Tell us
I
about it.
do. So, you know how we, under the Affordable Care Act, HSAs and FSAs and HRAs, you only could use those expenses for prescribed medicines for the most part. Well, with the CARES Act, now you can use both your HSA account, your FSA account, and your HRA account for a couple of different things. One is over-the-counter products. So normally you had to get a prescription, you don't anymore. And a biggie in that are menstrual care products.
Yes.
So
I
menstrual
was
care.
super excited about that. Like, even I have an HSA and I'm like super excited about that.
Right. So now you can use, instead of using the cash that you were going to spend on like you're getting your nails and feet done, you can use your HSA instead to buy, what is it? You can buy tampons, pad, liners, cups, sponges. I never knew about sponges, but hey, it's a thing under menstrual care products.
Okay. But like people really don't understand, like, especially when you got multiple girls in your house. There's only two in mine, but when you've got multiple girls in
Three
your
over
house,
here.
that that is a cost that can really add up, because you're talking about years worth of stuff.
Right.
Absolutely.
Let's add that up per month for years.
Right.
And I have two daughters, so I'm like, I wish I still had an HSA now, because I could, I would be really excited about that. So.
And another one too is telehealth. So before
we go there, but for those of you who don't know what an HSA is, it's a health spending account. And generally it's a pre-tax deduction. Sometimes you can get these accounts through your employer where you have money that comes out of your paycheck into the HSA pre-tax. So that means you're saving on taxable income here. And now most of the companies, they give you a card or you can submit for reimbursement and you can go buy your medical products. It's generally for healthcare spending. So like co-pays, eyeglasses, braces, and doctor's visits and things like that. So if you don't know, if your employer has this benefit, you definitely should contact your HR office and see if they do. Also, if you have a high deductible healthcare plan, you more than likely can set one up yourself through a provider like a bank or something. Some of the banks offer them. So it could also be another way to save on some taxes.
And HSAs don't expire.
Right.
Right? You can, like some of the, like the FSAs, I think you have to spend it by a certain time, by a certain, what is it, usually like,
that's the use it or
Like
lose
a
it.
year or something.
like the third, I think it's like March 31st of the next year or something like that. But with the HSAs, it doesn't expire. It doesn't go away if you leave the job. Like it's still there for you to spend. So that's like another plus of it.
And one more thing, telehealth. So a lot of us can't get to the doctor now. Well, with telehealth services, you can use your HSA account and don't have to pay the deductible. So you can use those funds to cover the cost, and you don't have to meet the deductible now under the CARES Act. So that's one way to go. Make sure you get your doctors, don't have to worry about co-pays and deductibles. Swipe your card or whatever, and you're good.
That's awesome.
Does that count for like co-insurance too? Like, did they take that away too? I'm asking for too much.
Yeah, problem solved. That's what about co-insurance.
I think I already paid the deductible up. I'm mad now.
No. Well, you know what? Maybe that may be something we need to research just to make sure. You know, that the act just came out a few weeks ago, and we're still in the middle of what was supposed to be a tax season that ends on April 15th. So some of us haven't had time to read that almost 400-page document. But you know, some of us have taken little bits and pieces out, and we read as we can. So be patient with it as we're going through the large document in the middle of the craziest tax season ever.
And that's one of the things that I'm sharing with my audience is just overall is chill out with your tax professional, because if they're worth their weight in salt, they really are reading and trying to go through and find this stuff for you, like seeing what's going to impact you, what's going to best, help you in your situation. I mean, I had it where a lady, she got all impatient, and I was like, oh, by the way, here's where I was able to save you some money because I stopped to read your document.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up.
Just saved you a couple grand in taxes because I took the time to read this stuff and figure out, hey, you know what? This applies to you. Pay my invoice now.
That's another thing. You can't rush your tax pro. You can't rush your tax pro and then not rush to pay the invoice when they send it. If you want to call and email every 5 minutes, be prepared to pay just as fast. We totally and truly appreciate it.
But that's one of the things that I really wanted to stress is that, just understanding that we're having to adjust too. And also the tax software people, like all of these changes that, once they make these changes, the tax software people, they got to go and write the program. That just doesn't happen overnight.
Absolutely.
And I've seen people even getting impatient with the software people, like, listen, boo, they just signed the thing yesterday.
Right.
The ink ain't dry.
Really?
Right. Not only do they have to build it into the software, but then they have to test it with the IRS to make sure it works. So, because then you'll get mad if they build it, let you use it, and then it doesn't work.
Then it got its mistakes. And I've seen a whole bunch of that, like, oh, this is why I hate this app because this report isn't even right. And it's like, why don't you reach out to them and tell them where your concern is and give them a chance to correct it? Because what you don't know is that they've already seen the glitch or the error and they're already working to fix it. So, like, going on a social media rant about why you all of a sudden you mad at it doesn't help anything. It doesn't help nobody.
Right.
So that's why I just say, just be patient with us because we tired.
We started off tired.
we started off tired. There has been no corona and chill for us, right?
Right. No, not
right.
at all.
Everybody else posting pictures of them relaxing. What you doing? And they got watching. No, we're not doing that.
We are not the same.
Not at all. Erica, did you find anything interesting in the new tax law?
While Erica is thinking, let me tell you something that I read for tax people. Like the annual, this is one of the things that they just released, is that for people that participate in the annual filing season program, you normally have until April 15th to apply to be a part of the program. That has also been extended to July 15th.
I saw that today. Yeah.
And elections too. Like if you have an election to make that's supposed to be made by April 15th with that tax return.
I was wondering that.
Yeah, they finally put some language that said the elections. I guess they like, look, we just extended everything. If you got an election, if your hair is blonde, if you got eyelashes, we extended everything. But
the word everything would have been helpful.
But that's only for April 15th though, right? So like someone who should have filed, who wanted to be an S corp by March 15th, they didn't file it in time. They missed that deadline.
Yeah,
because that didn't get extended.
Yeah,
right. And I think they added the dates April 1st through July 15th.
Right.
So if you had something that was due April 1st, that would be covered.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that S corp.
And nonprofits also.
Yes, nonprofits.
In May. Yeah.
Folks with the tax resolution, I also read that that if you had any any time sensitive stuff that was happening between April 1st and July 15th. Those things were extended, but the IRS is also getting an extension too. So don't think they're going to sleep. They just.
Right. That impacts you, Erica. You do a whole bunch of resolution work. Did you know that they extended those the time frame for the acceptance of documents for like what are they called? The written examinations and
They were talking about tax court and
yeah.
Yes, the main impact with a lot of clients right now who are currently on installment agreements, those who have direct debit that's coming out. So I've been giving them the phone number to contact the IRS and ask that they adhere to the CARES Act and not withdraw any payments out of their account between April 1st and July 15th.
mm-hmm.
And I'm also telling them to contact their banks to make sure they put stop payment on there, because a lot of times with the IRS right now is very short staffed. And if you can't get through on the phone line, you want to make sure that you have an alternative method for everyone that's kind of mailing in their payments. I'm just letting them know that, between April 1st and July 15th, do not mail any payments right now. Everything is suspended. For those who got multiple IRS notices coming in the mail saying that, oh, we're going to levy, we sent you to collections. I'm just letting them know that those are just automated generated responses right now from the computer, but the IRS is not taking any levy or collection efforts right now. But if they receive like a letter that says we need 60 days to respond, note that those 60 days are probably not going to start until after August when everyone gets in. Right now, where there's going to be like a ton of mail there for the IRS to decipher through. So I'm asking everyone to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as the IRS begins accepting, personnel gets back in the office, then we can actually call and get status reports of what's actually going on. But I love that the fact that these payments and levies and things are kind of suspended, because there's one client is paying $700 a month, and that's a relief for them right now to know that they have to make that payment and still have to worry about whether or not they can pay their bills.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And as Erica said, I want to reiterate, if you cannot get through to the IRS, call your bank. They may charge you a little fee to stop payment on it, but that $10, $20, $30 will be worth it, as opposed to sitting on the phone getting a courtesy disconnect from the IRS. Because the IRS has, temporarily sent their workers home to telework, and just be aware they weren't set up for telework. So this is all new for them as well. There were some of their employees that could work from home, but the call centers, not so much. So, as we're talking about this new CARES Act, just know that things are rolling downhill for them too. And they have a lot on their plates trying to get us taxpayers all up and running, making sure that you get your recovery rebate checks.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about those in a little bit.
I'm just going to add something else. I speak with a lot of IRS auditors, and the main thing is that the system that the IRS has is so old and outdated to where the employees cannot go home and log in, or the telephone system cannot get transferred. Only those who are like revenue agents or tax compliance officers, they can work from home, but their communication is really not that bad sometimes because they have to talk to their computer. So they're not even actually using actual phone lines.
Oh,
and
wow.
So there's a lot of things that, because the system is not as updated as it needs to be, it's not allowing a lot of the services to continue to go on. The fax machines are down, so everyone is just having to either mail a lot of things in. So there's a lot of procedures that has had to take place to be circumvented so that things could continue to go on during this time that we're quarantined.
But it's also a security measure, when you think about it, because they can't take your tax return to their house, right? Because if something happens to that tax return at their house, then, then you're screwed. So even though a lot of their systems are antiquated, it's also a protective measure. Like, yeah, I told my husband, I was like, hey, I need to fax something to he's like, they fax? Like, yeah, but have you seen a fax line before? Right?
What is that?
Like,
What is that? A fax machine?
Offended, right? And I mean, I've even had taxpayers that, like, hey, you need to, especially like when it comes to amendments, that you're going to have to mail this in. Like, you can't email. Like, baby, the IRS don't email. Not like that. That's not how the IRS gets down.
No.
But at the same, but it's really the security part of it, that they're using these older systems, because it's that the hacking.
Because everything gets hacked. Because everybody and everything keeps getting hacked.
Yep.
Them hackers got too much time on their hands.
Since we're talking about hacking, I hope all of you are using a secured password generator, such as LastPass. Now that you're home and you are Netflix and chilling, take the time to change all the passwords on all the sites you use. I love LastPass. It's free. They have a paid.
They sponsored us?
They did not sponsor this. I need them to sponsor.
Let's put that out there, that they didn't sponsor this.
Like, do you understand what we have just done for you right now?
But if they watch this later and want to sponsor, we are open.
Yes. Yes. But your password, I do have a post on my Instagram page. The password should be multiple characters, so uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and special characters such as asterisks, dollar signs, exclamation points, and they should be at least 10 characters or more. So I know people are not doing that. And stop playing those games on Facebook where they ask you what street you grew up on. And
oh my gosh, those just irk my
Just
whole.
telling the hackers all the information.
what city was you married in, and the last thing you ate? That's going to be your stripper name.
Like, oh my
Those
gosh,
are your questions to your banking information to get your password. So don't use them, okay? Don't answer, don't play.
And sometimes I just go on and say that, hey, you realize this is a security question?
Right.
Like,
and you're like, oh, I didn't think about that.
It's like, yeah, that's a no.
Yeah. So I'm the little angel on your shoulder, like, hey, don't do that. No.
But you mentioned that, though. I mean, if, since we're kind of going there, is to make sure that now that you're working from home, that you have your whole data security thing going on. Especially if, you're in business and you're now, people are making that transition to online. And if you haven't been there before, you might need to call and get you some data security insurance.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because believe you me, when I talked to my the attorney that came with my data security insurance, and I'm talking about, when people send stuff via email, even though you tell them to not.
All the time.
And he said that even though you may tell them that and they still do it, that doesn't necessarily let you off the hook. So you have to make sure that you're covered, and it covers every contact that you have. If you think about every phone number, every email, whether they're a client or not, if you have their information, that if you have a data breach, you got to contact all of those people. Yeah. And so if you don't have some data security insurance, you think about that. What's this? I think they said that the average cost per name is like $125. So if you had to pay $125 for every contact in your cell phone, in your email,
go broke.
A lot of coins.
Right.
That's a lot. That's gonna shut you all the way down.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, if you have not looked into some data security insurance, get your whole life. That needs to be the next phone call.
Right. Oh, and before you make that phone call, change the password on your Wi-Fi, because some of y'all's usernames is admin and the password is password. The password is what? Right. That's the. You don't know how to do a call Comcast. They will walk you right through it.
I am so dead. Okay.
I'm so serious. It's so funny. You can walk into people's house and be like, what's your password? Oh, I know it. Password 1. Anyway, we all off topic. We talking about data security. We supposed to be talking about
Oh, but that's a good topic.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
It
gonna
is a
be.
good time. We need a whole, we could talk a whole 2 hours on data security and how to secure it.
Really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's
Got
something
stories
that
for
business
days.
owners really need to think, especially if you have employees and you went to remote working. A lot of business owners just slap their employees on their personal computers to start working. They did not
Bad
set
idea.
up the appropriate security measures, and they are trying, you know, it's scary right now to spend money, but you need to spend money on that IT person to have everything set up properly.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. Melanie, what part of the CARES Act did you find interesting?
Interesting. There's a lot of interesting things.
Melanie got a whole list. Go through it.
I'm still working on my write-up. I figure by the time it expires, I'll be done. But I think,
You know, some of the provisions in the act expired 12/31/2020. So I hope he doesn't take that long to finish our write-up.
I don't know, at my rate. I think, well, I know today I've been having a lot of conversations with self-employed business owners because obviously this is when, I know you don't want to talk about the payroll protection program, and I'm not going to talk about it, but it is opening up for self-employed individuals. So a lot of people were reaching out today, and I actually was directing many of them to unemployment because at the end of the day, that was going to work out better for them. For one, the banks are backed up anyway.
Yeah.
I don't see a point in hurrying up to get in line. I'm not really playing into they're going to run out of money. I mean, they might, but somebody's going to come up with some more money
Right.
to fund this. So unemployment opened up for self-employed individuals, and that's going to be helping a lot of individuals, like your hairdressers, just your sorry, bye.
And the state's got to catch up too. I mean,
Yeah.
that was another thing. It's like, I wouldn't apply for unemployment and they got denied. It's like, baby, because your states haven't had time to fix it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about that program. So for those of you who don't know, it adds an extra $600 a week to your unemployed benefits. It also extends the length of payment about 13 weeks. So normally you would have gotten unemployment for about 26 weeks, and now it's 39 weeks.
Right.
But again, as Lysandra mentioned, it is run by your state. And so like Maryland today, our governor announced that they opened the program up. They will be opening the program up over the weekend for self-employed people, and they will retroactively add those benefits that you would have gotten to your first payment. And it's taken about 21 days before you actually see the payment. So although it may not be an immediate 2-day money in your bank type situation, it could be very beneficial if you're a gig worker, self-employed, hairstylist, barber. Instead of trying to sneak and still work, apply for those benefits and see if it'll help you.
But I think that there's a lesson learned here, and that's really where I'm more focused, is like really getting to the lessons learned, like as business owners, because you know the majority of my clients are home business owners, and one of the things that I talk about is you really need to have a business savings for moments just like this. And it doesn't matter how big or how small your business is, having that cushion to operate your business, because this kind of stuff takes time, 3 weeks. Well, if you don't have at least 3 weeks worth of money saved up, your business, because I know all of my folks are still asking for their money. Them direct debits is hidden still. You know what I'm saying?
Like clockwork.
Like, whoa, look at that.
Sandra, you made a good point. I think it shows that not only individuals are living paycheck to paycheck, but businesses are living paycheck to paycheck, deposit to deposit. So
yeah,
if they're waiting on their next deposit to survive, they may not survive because it may not come. So.
So for me, I've been really focusing on the lessons learned here. Like here's where we are. There is no changing that. But if you don't learn the lesson, the next catastrophe that happens, you're going to be right back in the same spot, begging and waiting for, you know, loan programs to open up, states to update their website. And meanwhile, you can't eat. Like, this is not,
Right.
not the position that
Right.
you want to be in. So, you know, take that as the lesson learned. Like, you might be there now, but we won't be there again.
Right.
And I know, Sherelle, you don't really do taxes, but has the coronavirus impacted your clientele in any kind of way? So I know you're focusing now on healthcare workers, right?
Yes. You know, initially I was like, oh, because they're healthcare workers, you know, they shouldn't be affected much. But it's actually the opposite, because a lot of the clients, a few of our clients, they do like the medical billing for other companies. And so because healthcare workers are still working, they're still billing. But there are some that do consulting work that requires a lot of travel, which nobody is traveling, right?
Mhm.
Nobody's traveled since mid-March. And so I think April is going to be the first month where it's really going to hit home, because if you're not doing any services in this month, you have nothing to bill in May. So as of right now, it's a slow trickle. I haven't seen a whole bunch, but I had clients say that, you know, they're getting calls about their fees are getting cut in half or in 2/3, or, you know, companies are basically putting a hold and saying we're not paying any vendors until this is over. And that was something they said like a month ago, like right at the very, very beginning, before any of these acts came out. And for some of these smaller businesses, like that's their whole livelihood. And so, you know, what are they supposed to do? And I'm like, you have to figure out a way to find out what the new need is, because the need that you were serving before doesn't exist at the moment. So what is their new need, and how can you fill it now? It's kind of the message that I've been telling everybody, like, figure out the new problem, because the old problem at this point is not existent.
Yeah, I have a client who is a physician recruiter, and he placed 2 physicians. The hospital actually sent him the check. He deposited to the check, and they put a stop pay
Oh, wow.
on that.
Oh, wow.
And we talking about 5 figures, like,
Wow.
and he didn't find out until he got a call from his bank that said, "Hey, did you know?" And I was like,
No.
and
So what did they say? Like, how did they? Why are you waiting?
and that was the thing. They didn't say anything. All he knew is that suddenly his Matisse was just gone.
Yeah, that was a little shady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It amazes me how big businesses treat little businesses, knowing small business relies on them and paying. And it just, in my honest opinion and experiences and things that I've seen, they do not act like we're small businesses. They act like we're big business too. And a lot of the decisions and things that they do hurt really badly. Like, it's like Nicole said, a lot of businesses are deposit to deposit.
Yeah.
So
I
it's a
do
lesson.
like your message though, Sherelle. Look for the new need. Like, what's the new need? That's key. You know, even us as accountants and tax preparers, we know all of us here have been mostly cloud-based. So it was an easy transition for us to kind of shelter in place, right? Wasn't hard, but there are a lot of people in our industry who it was difficult to make that transition. And so now they're finding themselves in the new normal. And what is that going to look like in 6 months? What is that going to look like in a year? Like, are we just going to, when all of this is over, just pick back up and go to the office like nothing ever happened?
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, and now going through this, I'm talking to my clients differently, because now they are realizing some of the messages I was trying to deliver to them previously are now starting to hit home, like, oh, snap, I don't have enough in savings. Oh, snap, I haven't put in anything in my IRA. So it is really going to be interesting to see how this continues to impact not only us and our clients, but you know, overall the industries we serve and how people treat one another in terms of like the whole stop payment on the check like that. That wasn't a $25 check. That a 5-figure check. You couldn't pick up the phone and say, "Hey, hope you didn't put this check in the mail. I mean, in the bank because we come across some cash flow issues." Like a simple phone call. That's just courtesy. That's like good business.
Yeah. Yep.
But,
now
you know,
your guys got to spend money to take the people to collections. Like that's
Right.
and ruin a relationship over a check that if he would have made the phone call, probably he could have held.
yeah, and just the fact that he's the sole breadwinner for his family, and so now they gotta eat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but I think overall industry is going to change because people have really been slapped into this digital world. But I think people we went to Best Buy, y'all, and you know, they were like, okay, well, you have to order from the app. Okay, great. We order from the app. And I told my husband, I said, you know, they're going to figure out a way, you know, especially if they consult Chick-fil-A with their drive-through, y'all.
Right?
Listen, you ain't
That
nobody
system
going.
is tight.
Is okay. Ain't nobody gonna be going to Best Buy into the building. You're like, no, ma'am, you just drive up right here. Everett, bring that on out. Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice day. You know, that's what it's gonna be.
Right.
But I also think, you know, what you were saying, like finding the new need, you know, everybody's, you know, pivot is the word of the day,
Yes.
but just understanding that there's a lot of these jobs that are not going to be coming back. And
No.
so,
Yeah.
you know, I know people are going through like a serious, you know, emotional, it's a lot. It's mental, it's physical, it's emotional. It attacks all of those systems. The fact is that somebody's job is not coming back. And if you're not using this time, whatever time you can, to improve your skills, to go fill, like you said, another need, this is going to be something that you know, is going to impact you for years and years. It's already going to impact, right? Because we think about with the last government shutdown, some of those people were just recovering.
Just recovering.
Oh, but that was the other thing I liked about the CARES Act, being able to take money out of your retirement account.
Oh, yeah,
I was gonna ask that.
Because that broke my heart when I was preparing, because I have government people and they had to take out of their retirement account, and it broke my whole heart that they had to take these, you know, pay these penalties because they needed the money to live.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so I'm really excited about that, about the CARES Act, but just knowing.
So they took the penalties away? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
No early withdrawal penalty. And you can,
that's good.
You can pay it back in up to 3 years. You can take out up to $100,000 without the penalty. And if you can pay it back within 3 years, it's tax free.
Yeah.
So
how do they do that? Are they deferring the taxes for those 3 years, or you got to pay it and ask for a refund?
No, they're deferring it for 3 years.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
now,
that's big.
You want to say this? That's huge. That's a huge thing. But do not just go empty out your IRA.
Yes, correct.
Just because you can, don't do it. I understand that
that's a last resort.
Yes, we are in crisis mode, but at a period like this, you actually kind of want to leave it there, let it build back up when the economy goes back up. Because right now, you're just going to be taking loss after loss if you take the money out. So
take out what you need, not just like, ooh, we got all of this money, let's go
Can't
get it.
spend it. Where you gonna go?
Yeah, and it still got to be paid back, right? Like, don't forget that you do still have to pay it back. So don't be going crazy trying to talk about, I can take all this out, and then 3 years from now, you like, oh, I don't got that.
Yeah. So it's not, it's an option. It's not just go and raid your retirement account.
Right. It's definitely a last resort.
Yeah. It's like when you go through list A, B, C, D, it should be down there like a W.
Right before theft. Right before theft and selling drugs.
I raise it a little higher than that.
Right before something illegal, right?
And if you're outside hustling on the corner, I would rather you not do that either, because there are some penalties and fines for being outside and not being an essential worker.
Yeah. So you don't get a ticket for being outside.
In Maryland, you can get a jail time a year and a $5,000 penalty.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Hogan's not playing.
I don't even know if I don't think I heard that part.
I think Virginia
He's
is
serious with it.
Yeah, Virginia is like that too. Like if people are, oh, we can go to jail for going to church. Ain't nobody stopping you from worshiping. Stay your tail at the house.
Y'all
Put
better
it
listen
on.
to Transformation Church on YouTube.
Okay, get.
A lot of the churches live stream though, so it's like a lot of churches are live streaming, so you're not gonna miss.
Listen, but you got some.
Lord understands that why you in the house and not in the house, and not in his house. He understands.
I was like, in the Old Testament, the Lord put you outside the camp. If you was diseased, you had skin disease or whatever, outside the camp is quarantine. You ain't no different. Okay, so quit playing, stay in the house, get your whole praise and worship on. You can put your Easter suit on and
And take all the selfies you want. All the selfies. Take all the pictures you want.
That's right. Let me go put my Easter outfit, put it out my closet. I mean, in club office for the weekend, like, hey.
But I really think, but here's the overall good news is that our government is acting to try to help everyone. It's not just the businesses, it's putting money in the hands of people. It's taken a while. Like, you just understand, we got 300 million people in the United States.
I was gonna say,
all this stuff takes time. Like people are upset about the whole SBA thing. It said 72 hours. I was like, yeah.
72 hours from acceptance.
Acceptance.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's the little bit that you missed right there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not going to be money just poof.
Right.
This is not Hogwarts. It don't happen like that.
And so, ladies, I do want to thank you for giving up your time on a Friday. I did tell my email list that we are going to try to do this once a week for right now, to kind of give you some insight and impact and our raw thoughts on how we're feeling, what we're seeing, any additional information we can provide to hopefully find some solutions, especially for our small business owners, Lysandra's kitchen workers. Right. I love
you
that.
have to tag that, like trademark that. You get that right and trademark that, because I love it.
I did too. But this is my group of what I call my biz BFFs. We support one another. So these are the ladies that are keeping me sane. So I hope you all can use us as a resource too, to help keep you sane. Know that we got your backs. We are here to help you, especially in these trying and troubling times. So make sure you're washing your hands. You are staying in the house, away from the Rona, right? The Corona, Madam Corona Lachey virus, right?
In your mask.
I've seen all the memes. Nicole, but look, if you got to leave out, keep your mask. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
But we appreciate you, and we will see you next week.
Bye.